Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So today we're going to redo our review on Strange Harvest, Occult Murder in the Inland Empire.
So a little non-spoiler synopsis of the film. In July 2010, the San Bernardino County authorities were faced with one of the most bizarre crime scenes they'd ever encountered. After being alerted by a concerned friend, local police arrived at the victim's home, and the murders they discovered shook them to the ground. It showed a bunch of ritualistic aspects at the scene of the crime, and one of the detectives noticed the symbol painted on the ceiling linked in the victim's blood went all the way back to a case back in 1995 that was never ever solved. So it looked like the killer took a 15-year break.
Yes. So we're going to talk about our positives, our negatives, and then we're going to spoil the film. So I hope you guys check it out because it's definitely worth a watch.
Definitely worth the watch. But let's get into our positives of Strange Harvest.
So some of the positives, it's like a mockumentary type. It feels like a realistic episode of Forensic Files, and I love Forensic Files. I know Ken loves Forensic Files, so this really caught our attention for sure.
Yeah, the practical effects and makeup throughout the film are absolutely terrifying. Whether it be some children, some of the stuff that happens to the adults. Whenever you see the makeup and the practical effects, it's always pretty spot on with what they were doing.
Yeah, and the kills are very unique, very mean-hearted, and yes, but they're awesome.
Right. I love his mask. The killer wears a mask. You don't get to see his identity.
It's very creepy.
And it's very creative, very creepy, and very simplistic. And that's what I love about it.
And there's a lot of scenes that make you feel very uncomfortable, like with a young lady, things like that. Like, it's just, it
feels very real.
Yeah, it does. It makes you, you feel like you're watching an episode of Forensic Files on this murderer. And
these things are really happening. So that's what I think is, we were talking about how broad the positive, and we're trying to be as spoiler free with these positives as we can for those of you that haven't seen it, but you really feel bad.
Yeah.
For these families. Like, they're real. You don't feel like you're being entertained by a movie. You feel like you're watching what really happened to these families. So you are very uncomfortable throughout a lot of the runtime of this movie. So those are some of our positives. Now let's get into some of our negatives of Strange Harvest.
So some of the negatives, if you're not really into true crime type stuff, you probably won't like this that much if that's not your thing, because like we said before, it's definitely like an episode of Forensic Files.
Yeah, it's the whole movie is that. So if that's not your type of thing, this may not be the one for you. It is a very slow burn.
It is.
Like we said, a lot of it is reenactments type stuff, so you don't see a lot of what's going on. You kind of see the aftermath of stuff, which I love. I thought that the way that they worked it in was really, really well done, really well written. But if you're into slow burns, this is, again, probably not your thing.
Yeah, there's some unanswered questions that we have. Again, we don't need everything to be in a beautiful present tied with a bow. But some things I feel like they should have answered.
We could have at least gotten a couple answers as to what happened. But
yeah.
The last negative, and again, it's real life. So sometimes real life doesn't have people running away from explosions, but it was a very anticlimactic ending in my opinion. But again, real life, sometimes that's how it goes. Like I said, you're not always going to be Die Hard or Scream and have that huge epic ending. So those are some of our spoiler-free negatives of Strange Harvest. Now we are going to spoil the film. We can't recommend this enough.
No.
Please, if you haven't seen it, look into checking this movie out. It's very, very well done. But now we're going to spoil the film for you.
All right, we've given you a couple warnings now, so we are spoiling things. So it starts off with a family being found dead. It opens up the film. Some of their friends are talking about it, and that's just kind of how we get into figure out that this is a murderer from 15 years ago. Well, we see the
on the ceiling
type,
on the ceiling he wrote a mark on the ceiling, which is just like a ritualistic type symbol. The killer takes a body part from each of his victims, and they kind of set up at the end why it doesn't really make a lot of sense, I guess. But
Yeah.
it really does explain it in the end. But at first you're like, why did he take these body parts from these people?
And there is a victim that survives that was burned, and he looks so good.
The practical effects that were done to him to
Yes.
make him look like a burn victim.
Yeah, his face, like they did a great job with that.
There was another guy that was put in almost like a saw trap in a swimming pool with barbed wire wrapped all the way around it so he couldn't get out, and it was filled with leeches.
Yeah.
And
So
when the leeches would get full, the killer would throw more leeches in and
this
more
is
leeches
what we
in.
meant when we said that there's unique kills, and they're very mean-hearted, because you know how long that would take to die from that.
And you got to try to stay afloat.
Yeah.
Because you're in water.
Oh, that's
And the leeches are just terrifying. And it's a terrible way to go. Just fighting for your life. You can't get out because
And
there's all that barbed wire and
yeah, it's not just a quick way to go. Like that, you're gonna suffer. Like he suffered.
right.
There is a 16-year-old that we watch get shot, and it's
Right in the
very
face.
right in the face. It's very uncomfortable. The whole scene with the 16-year-old is very uncomfortable.
She was doing like a makeup tutorial
Yeah, and then
on
you
YouTube,
see him
and then you see him
break
coming in
in.
and breaking in, and then he shoots her and puts her on the bed and
then
does this thing.
the mom,
And
it
she
cuts the mom.
survives.
Yeah.
Like she survives the shooting, but he dresses up like a nurse and he finishes her at the hospital by putting chemicals into her blood transfusion bag. And it's just like, even the detective is like, he walked right by me. If I would have been looking at him, I would have had him. I would have had him right there. But that you're like, oh, cool, this girl made it. You know,
Yeah.
16-year-old kid, she's going to make it.
No,
She did not.
It cuts to their family talking about it, and just how the mom is just so like,
Distraught.
yeah, she's just distraught, and she keeps saying the same thing over and over.
The dad's like, you've said that already, hon. She's like, she keeps saying, nobody truly dies until you stop saying their name.
Yeah.
So we keep saying her name to keep her alive.
And he's like, you already said that, and she's like, it's true.
That's true. I'll say it 1,000 times if I have to. So again, it felt real. It didn't feel scripted. It felt very, very real.
So they found his storage unit, and this is where you find his ritualistic shrine type thing.
With all the body parts.
Body parts are like in little mason jars around this ritual shrine.
And the last victim was a baby. He takes the baby and he puts it in this, I don't know what they're called, but he surrounds it with sticks. It's almost like what the Wicker Man was.
Yeah.
And his goal was when the eclipse happened or this stellar, interstellar thing happened, he was going to burn the baby alive and become transcendent into whatever heaven he believed in. But right as he's getting ready to do it, he is shot and killed by the cops right before the final ritual. And like I said, very anticlimactic. And then like people that were around, like they have seizures now. And like, so there's like this after effect.
So there was like people out there camping and stuff, and like we're having seizures, and like everybody is having like these different issues,
Headaches. And
yeah, so they're like, was he crazy? Was this like, that's kind of where
this celestial event, was it real? Is it,
like it wasn't in his head? Was he just a psychopath? Like what? Well, I mean, he was a psychopath.
He was definitely
killing
a psychopath.
innocent people, but
And again, I wish we could have gotten to see more of the kills on screen, but it wouldn't have made sense to see him on screen because they were trying to catch the guy.
Right.
You know?
They had already happened. We got to see the aftermath, which I think is awesome. And I really liked the forensic file type feeling of it. So
overall, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. I think this movie was great. One of my top 5 of the year. It really shocked me, especially after the first 10 minutes. I was like, is this really going to be like a Forensic Files episode? Like, if I wanted to watch Forensic Files, I watch Forensic Files, but it sucked me in. And the killer's great. The detectives that you're following are amazing. There's some genuine funny moments in it. So yeah, I'm going to say 4 out of 5.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 as well. Even though it is a slow burn, I never felt bored with this movie. I was entertained the entire time. Even like listening to them just talk about the events, like it sucked me in, and I was entertained by it.
Right.
And like you said, the killer, he's super creepy looking. His mask was it all, because it felt so real. I felt like it was scarier. So, and they all did a great job, all the actors. So yeah, I would recommend this movie to my friends and family.
So would I. So, like I said, guys, make sure you're checking it out. We were lucky enough to check it out for Fantastic Fest. We're going to have a couple more Fantastic Fest videos coming up for you very soon. So I hope you guys are into those. Thank you, everybody at Fantastic Fest, for these amazing opportunities.
Yes.
We've had an amazing time watching these films. If you haven't already, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror.
Say who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.